Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the EPAN to the UKV pod. I'm your host, Josh Carpenter. Today, we're starting a new segment called Convos with Carp, where I interview players, coaches, different backgrounds, basically anyone. It doesn't have to be limited to basketball, but just to get a one-on-one conversation with them. Today was the first. We had head coach at Queens University of Charlotte, Grant Leonard. A cool conversation, man. They were preseason #1 in the ASUN conference, preseason player of the year, Chris Ashby. So, yeah, look forward to these and be on the lookout for more. Peace. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the EPAN to the UKV pod. I'm your host, Josh Carpenter. Today, we're going to introduce a new segment, Convos with Carp. Excited to welcome Queens University of Charlotte head coach, Grant Leonard. Coach, I appreciate you joining me today, man. I know you got a busy schedule. I appreciate your time this morning.
Well, thanks for having me, Josh. Look forward to it.
Yes, sir. So you guys are the first game of the college regular season, right? The first game, 8 a.m. Monday. How do you feel? What's it feel like to be on that early as well?
It's an awesome platform for our team, and really excited that we were even invited to do that. 8 a.m. is a scary time. Who plays a game at that time? For us, uniquely at our school, limited class times, we practice a lot in the morning. So I think our guys' bodies will be awake and they're ready to go at that time in the morning. And so for us, it doesn't matter what time it is. We just get up and we try and do it right.
Yeah, and then being the first game of the season, everybody's going to be jacked up anyways to go. What is your initial thoughts on the matchup, and how much stock goes into these early games? Are you playing the long game to where we're at our best in March, or what are you trying to take away from these beginning games?
Yeah, 100%. I think you got to take it. And no matter whether you win or lose an early game, it's a growth mindset, and you got to get better so that your team is kind of peaking in conference season. You want to be playing well in January, but you really want to be your best February and March. So, for us, no matter how good or bad we play, it's what can we take out of that game. Now, Winthrop is an unbelievably tough matchup. Played them the last 2 years. They're actually a local rival of ours, even though we're in a different league. And the one thing that they do, they got new personnel, and we're kind of going to this game blind. I don't know if they have film on us. They might have one, and we don't have film on them, but they put so much pressure on the rim with dribble drives, with ball screens, and with post ups. They get fouled like crazy, and they play an unbelievable pace. Coach Prosser's not going to change. I know that. They're going to be who they are, and that is going to be an unbelievable team that puts a ton of pressure on the rim and it gets to the free throw line. We have to keep them off free throw line.
Yeah, that's an awesome opportunity, Coach. 8 a.m., first game of the college season. What are your thoughts on the preseason #1 in the conference, ASUN conference, preseason player of the year? How awesome is it to get that, even though you can't win games on paper, but to have that so soon in the transition?
I think the coaches are in our league are playing a joke on me or something. But it's a lot of respect to our program. I don't know if there's a right way to go through a transition, but I think that we've gotten better every year. I think our talent has gotten a little more. The first year with the Division II team, we were unbelievably outmanned size-wise, but those kids fought like crazy and won 18 games. Each year, we've kind of added more talent to our roster, and I think people have seen the progress. So it's a lot of respect to our program, and I really appreciate that from the league, the Blue Ribbon Sports, the media, all that has picked us to win. But now our guys got to learn how we got to go earn it.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff doesn't matter. Once the ball tips off, like, we better go get the ball. And I think we have the guys that have the right mindset to do that.
Talk about Chris Ashby and his journey and how he came to be the player he is right now.
Man, if you had told me 4 years ago when we recruited Chris that we'd be sitting here and he'd be preseason player of the year, I would have told you you're doing too many drugs. No one else, like when I say this, and I don't use this term, that no one else wanted him. And Chris, we believed in Chris. I actually had coaches in his league, in his JUCO league in Paris, call me and say, "What are you doing signing that kid? He's not good enough." And I was like, look, like we lost a kid late. We like Chris's skill set. We think he can come in and hit threes right away. But the thing is Chris works so hard. His practice pace is better than any player I've ever coached in 20 plus years. Every single rep he takes when he walks in that gym is 100%. It's game speed. And when you see a kid work at that pace, I've seen college coaches who have won 500 games come in the gym, and we're in our pre-practice mode, and they're like, "Who's that kid? He never stops." And that's why he kept getting better and better. He's added more to his game. This year, he's going to make more plays off the bounce, not only for himself, but for his teammates, he's gonna get in the mid-range more, he's gonna get to the foul line more, and that's gonna help him when he's not making threes. But it's also, in my opinion, gonna help him make more threes because you'll see the ball go in different ways. But I couldn't be happier for a kid when you say that he doesn't talk a lot, he leads by example, but man, that example is unbelievable, and so our team knows, like, I mean, if you don't bring it, Chris is gonna embarrass you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good guy to have. What was your first head coaching job?
Uniquely, like, we were winning a ton of games in Division II, and I was the associate head coach, and I kept getting turned down for head coaching jobs, and that's not to say that those people did anything wrong. Maybe I wasn't ready, and people don't understand that, like, there's a lot that goes into this. So, my boss at the time, Coach Lundy, who I'm still very close with, was so supportive. I was like, "Hey, coach, like, I wanna start a TBT team," and the basketball tournament on ESPN, and we had a bunch of guys playing pro, and so started a TBT team. The TBT was like, look, Queens doesn't have quite enough guys, to do their own. Why don't you do a D2 team?
Mhm.
And so started the D2 TBT team. We played 3 summers. It became more of a program than a team, where guys were coming back year after year, and we had a foundation and a reputation of how we played. And for us, like the alumni base, like they were so supportive of, and it was everyone in Division II that rooted this team on, and it allowed me to like build my personality as a head coach and start to feel out what my systems might look like. And then, the weirdest thing happens. Coach Lundy takes Wisconsin Milwaukee a couple days after we lose in the Sweet 16 in D2, and we announce we're going Division I. And by all means, Queens did not have to tap me, but they really believed in our culture and what we've done. And fortunately, that they gave me the job, and so now here I am.
Yeah, that's awesome. Every coach I've talked to, their story is always it always ties back to they're like, man, it was just a lucky, or not even luck, just a coincidental thing. Like they knew someone, they were in a position. What were those early moments like, even with TBT, finding your personality as a head coach?
Yeah, and when you're an assistant, and you're serving the players, obviously we all still serve the players, even when you're the head coach. But, when you're working for your boss, you gotta be 10 toes in. Yes, it's okay to like have dreams and aspirations to want to be a head coach, but you gotta be 10 toes in on the spot you're at. And it's the only way to work. And then obviously it's okay to think about like, man, I really like what this he's doing here. We're all the way in, we're doing it this way. But then thinking like, hey, would there be anything I do a little differently? Sure, that's okay, but you got to keep those things to yourself, but kind of let's kind of take notes on that. The thing with Coach Lundy is I was so bought into Coach. Like he's such a good coach that I don't think that there was anyone that ever questioned like our resolve together. Like what we did was it was awesome, and we were really successful. So, um, when I got the opportunity to be head coach, yeah, you do want to put your own stamp on it and kind of make it yours, but we still do a ton of the same stuff that Coach Lundy does. It's cultural, it's part of what we built here. But I'll tell you this, like when it's your voice running a practice and it's your culture and it's your environment, you got to be authentic to you. You can't fake being someone else. I can't be Coach Lundy and I can't be Brad Stevens. But, you gotta find your own voice, and the players know if it's authentic, they do. The players are smarter than all of us, they are. They know when you're truthful, and they know when you're being real, and so you gotta be authentic.
Yeah. How you talk about your individual coaching system, how does it differ than the popular systems running today? I see a lot of people online talk about conceptually way that they play now, and then I've seen tweets where like, man, there's 100 ways to win a basketball game. Like whatever you can find that's effective, it doesn't matter if you're an old school style coach or new school. What does your style kind of lean towards?
Yeah, we've been all in on the conceptual offense thing for this is year 4 now, and the my biggest thing is like I just don't have, maybe I'm just not smart enough. I can't call a play every play. So we allow our guys to have a lot of freedom to play, and we do it defensively too. And so we build a staff that where we look at ourselves as teachers, and we're constantly teaching how to read concepts offensively and defensively, and how to react to them, and how to get to the best analytically, like how do we want them what shots do we want them to take and what shots do we want to take. And so now roster building and culture building is just as important in that. Culturally, we want guys that are street dogs. guys that are going to go win 50-50 balls, that are going to win those rebounds that are tough to get, guys that are going to they're going to win, that catch, they're going to win that gap, that they're competitive like that. And so guys that have won before because they know what that means, the sacrifices. And so that's a cultural thing that we want, and that leads to us being competitive every day in practice. And we want guys that want to compete. If you want to come in and have a non-contact day, this is probably not your program. It's just not it. I mean, I'm not knocking. There's a lot of people who win a lot of games like that, but that's not the Queen's way. And then, roster building wise, we try and build a roster with depth, and we're looking at positional size, athleticism, and skill at every position. And if we can hit all three areas right, culturally, X's and O's with the conceptual guys, which you need guys that can dribble, pass, and shoot, and then a roster built on depth, we're going to be okay.
Offensively, when you're doing conceptual actions, how do you keep it to where you do have some type of structure or some type of free flowing? Like if you run an action and say you don't get an advantage, what do you have certain cues or triggers that go into another one? How do you make sure that it still flows naturally?
Yeah, I mean, so that's where it gets awesome. I think there's a uniqueness and randomness, and there's a beauty in imperfection. So it's not going to be perfect. Like, so we do have different actions that we go to. We call the ball talks. So as the ball is in different places, we'll run certain actions to start our process. But there's a pace that we want to get to as the ball moves. We want the ball to pop. And so we talk about point 0.5 decision making all the time. And you either got to shoot it, attack, or move it within point 0.5 seconds, and then it gets the next action, gets the next concept. And so a lot of times you'll see a lot of random zooms, a ton of random flares and pin-ins, and then even random double ball screens or L ball screens that we call them. And for us, what we don't want is a lot of dribble handoffs. We call it at least a dribble diarrhea. And where it kind of looks like a dribble weave, you don't want that. But for us, there's a uniqueness in the randomness, and we always talk about the screener being a weapon. And if we're able to do those things, we're going to get good things out of it. And then we're always looking for cuts, these 45s, rejects on screens. We want to put a lot of pressure on the rim without the ball. If it's a dead ball or an ATO, that's when I will call things and put them in places. But when the ball's live on a make or miss, it's all them. It's all them. And as the action flows from the first action where the ball talks and they get into it from to the next action, that's all them. And it's their reads. And that's where we teach and practice. And they do a great job of learning and understanding. But then from there, it's them. And it's not for every player, by the way. Certain players can't play that way, and that's okay.
Is there teams that you played last year or previous years that play more of a traditional style in any way, and are they still successful? Have you noticed that?
Absolutely. First Florida Gulf Coast, man. And then a lot of people are picking them to win our league too. So, but Coach Chambers does an unbelievable job. But he coaches more like a Big Ten style, and so they're going to run some sets. They're going to throw the ball in the post. They run a little bit of what I call mover blocker, which Coach Bennett made very popular at Virginia. And then they have this diamond series where they're throwing the ball in the post, and so when you play them, they want a little bit slower of a pace, and so what we want conceptually is to speed them up. Also in our league, different styles of EKU, which they call the most exciting 40 minutes in sports. But Coach AW, man, they're going to press you, man. They're going to pressure you, and then they're going to run a lot of sets to get their best players the ball in ISOs and try and take advantage of mismatches. And so I think both styles are awesome. North Alabama, very super athletic, tough physical team. And they're going to run ball screens and they're going to put a ton of pressure on the rim. And so, I think that's one of the strengths of the ASUN conference. The last 2 years, we've been number one or number two in the country league-wise in offensive efficiency, but it's a lot of different teams, a lot of different styles. North Florida, Birds of Trey, man, they're going to just launch threes, but good ones. I mean, and we have not, it's the one team in the league we've never beat. North
Really?
Florida. And so each team's got its unique style, but it all can work. You're right. But it's about having 13 guys or really 30 people in your organization believing in your philosophy, 10 toes in. This is what we're going to do to win.
So I think there's a lot of ways to win, but it's just about how can you get guys bought in.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, the teams that win usually take care of the ball more, they rebound the ball better, and they take
Hmm.
good shots. So if you take good shots and not bad shots, and you rebound the ball and you don't turn it over, you protect the ball, I mean, you're gonna win a lot of games. And so, like I said, back in the day when Wisconsin and Virginia were really good, they played slow. But then you looked at North Carolina and Duke and Kentucky, they played fast. But in the end, they did the same things. They rebounded the ball, they took care of the ball, and they got great shots. And that's really what basketball comes down to.
Early days as a coach, did you have moments or games where you were like, "Man, this wasn't anywhere where I thought it was gonna be." Like, everything I thought was gonna happen completely went out the window, and how did that help you be better as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, hey, I always say this: everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. That's a Mike
Yeah,
Tyson line, and it happens, and it's going to happen in a game. Adversity hits, but really teaching your guys how to work through it together, how to communicate. And I really believe this: you can win a lot of games with talented players, but if you don't have character, you're doomed to fail when it gets hard. And so I've been a part of teams that were really talented that couldn't win championships because they came apart when it got difficult. And so if you don't think character is important, again, like that's probably not. So one thing I probably say you have to have. And now character looks different in a lot of different ways, man. I've seen kids that, man, they come from tough backgrounds, but they have resolve like you've never seen before. And then I've seen kids that, two-parent households, all that stuff. And man, it is individual in each kid. Kids are special. And I really just believe though that if your best player is not your best person, it's gonna be really hard for you to win when it gets tough.
for sure. How did you earn your players' respect in the early days?
Yeah, I think that the biggest flip in my career came early on at Queens. Um, and I learned a little bit of this at Payne with Coach Link. But for me, when you start not worrying about your own career and you start pouring into the players, there's a genuineness of like you serving them and like I'm trying to help them reach all their goals and dreams. And a player can tell when you're really about them. And no, I played basketball and like, look, I shoot it okay. But none of that matters. I've seen great coaches like Coach Wade. Man, he wasn't a great player, he's a great coach because he's about his players, and his players know that. And so there's a genuineness of like, do you really want to help them be the best player they can? And if you do, that's when I think it changed for me. And the players knew. I think it was probably my year 3 or 4 at Queens. They're like, coach is about us, and that is a huge turning point for me. And from I don't care if a coach is I'm trying to hire an assistant coach. I don't care if he can bring me the best player in the world. If you're not serving all the players, that ain't it. That ain't it.
With your team this year, are you guys still not eligible for the tournament yet?
No, we actually, a lot of people knock the NCAA, okay? But it's supposed to be a 4-year transition process, year 5. Well, they gave us a year of relief this year. And they said if we hit all of our academic APR goals and our fundraising goals that we'd be tournament eligible. So we are. And
That's awesome.
it's a huge thing for our players, man. Like that carrot at the end, like last year we're battling and it had to be hard for them, like to hear we're in the semifinals. If we win, it doesn't matter. And you can't go to the tournament. And our guys still battle like crazy. It had nothing to do with the outcome of the game. But now our guys know that they can go. I don't care what anyone says. Everyone wants to talk about tournament expansion. Shouldn't do it. Oh, blah, blah, blah. First of all, there's more teams in Division 1 now. But second of all, like every kid dreams of playing that tournament. Hey, man, give a couple more kids that shot. So I'm a huge proponent of it. I'm again players first guy, and let's see those players get their dreams. Man, it's a big deal.
I agree. That's awesome that they gave it to you guys. I've seen a couple non-conference games you guys had this year at Villanova, at Virginia, at Wake Forest, at Auburn, at Arkansas. How jacked up are you for those games, and what are you looking forward to most about those?
Man, don't duck the smoke, right? If you say you're
That's
going to be
awesome.
good,
Yeah,
I think the most fun part about that is you know, going to play in some of those places like Villanova and Virginia, man, they just won national championships recently, like in the
mhm.
last decade. That's awesome. And then Arkansas, I mean, coaching against Coach Calipari, I mean, holy cow. And
It's going to be awesome.
Coach Forbes at Wake Forest is becoming a friend, and I think we have a lot of likeness in our careers. So it's like eh, really unique for our players to get to play on those platforms. You know, when you play in those games, win or lose, you can learn something. And the biggest thing is, I thought last year we played at Old Miss, and Old Miss ended up, being a top 25 team, and we out rebounded them, and it was a game late, and then they pulled away at the last 4 or 5 minutes. But our guys got a lot of confidence from competing in that game, like really, really competing, and I thought it helped us propel us into the conference season.
I wanted to get
Yeah.
your take on this. I've seen all the coaches talk about the G League guys, the international pros. What are your thoughts on that trend right now in college, and where do you think heading to?
I wish I had a crystal ball and knew where it was going. I'll say this, like, does it bother me that a guy who played in the G League is going to play in college? No, because it's basically the same thing as a European pro. And I don't say his name right, but like last year we played BYU and Igor Denham. Man, that guy was playing on Real Madrid or Barcelona. I can't remember which one, but like, come on, all right. So whatever.
Yeah.
To me, college is a wonderful experience for people. The one thing I'll say, the one process that I don't think should be cheated is kids that are here should be trying to graduate. Now, if you're so gifted that you're one and done, by all means, you should go. Like that's an unbelievable opportunity. But for guys that like tried to go pro and then come back and only have 2 years of eligibility, I'm not seeing what we're trying to do scholastically then. And
Yeah.
I still think school's a part of this. And at Queens, we just can't take kids like that. Like graduating and being a part of the student community and the campus community and like graduating your players, for us, it's a big deal. But I don't ever want to knock a kid in his opportunity. That's not what I'm about. And that's not what our school or program has been about either.
I think none of them really have problems, but it's like, man, we're not really focusing on the academic part. I think Arizona State, I mean, I think they have 6 international players. I mean, he said, and Coach Hurley was like, man, they were more excited to come here. They were doing it for less money. So why not do that?
We have a young man on our team from Israel. He's gonna have a huge year. Yoav Berman. And for me, he did 2 years in the Israeli military and then came here to school. But he is intending to try and graduate, whether it's from Queens or another school. But like my thing with him is yeah, he's older and he played 2 years pro while he was in the military. And so he had an advantage coming in. So like I'm all for that. But Berman is a great kid, but he also is a serious student, and so I appreciate that. And I'm not knocking at the kids who are not. I've coached a lot of players who weren't serious students, but did school because of basketball.
Hmm.
Basketball can open up those doors, and hopefully that degree later in their life will really come in handy for them.
I wanted to ask about the analytics. So, how much of analytics do you think is personnel based? Say you have a guy, say he's a mid range killer, and you're a highly analytic based program. How do you apply those to when you have a star that maybe defies all the analytics that you follow?
Yeah, and I always say this, like, players have to play to their strengths, okay? And if the mid-range game is your strength, okay, then we gotta evaluate, like, how effective you are in that area, okay? So the goal of every offense is to get to 1 point per possession or 1.1 point per possession. Now, you could say if mid-range your strength, but if you're only hitting it at point 0.8, well, then you're hurting yourself and your team. So you got to study it and you got to look at, where their hot spots are. And look, I had someone ask me that the other day, like, look, we don't take a ton of mid-range, but we're not anti-mid-range. Like right now, Chris Ashby, we're trying to get him to shoot more in that area.
Yeah.
But do I want every one of our players to shoot shots in that area? No, I don't, because it's not the most efficient shot in basketball. So, but if I had TJ Warren, you're dang right, he's going to shoot in the mid range because
Mm-hmm.
he's really good there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's evaluating how effective you are in that area, and does that area still yield a scoring percentage that you can still win with? And I think that's the hard thing to evaluate, but you got to look at it and you got to teach kids what they're getting in each area and whether they want to cut it out or practice more to get it to where you need it to be.
Yeah, so you don't think, I mean, I have this conversation a lot with my co-host that I do this with. You don't think it's just a one template fits all program. This is this is the analytics that you should follow. Everyone should follow these. It's depend on your personnel, their hot zones to determine what a quality shot is for them. It's not one fits all for every program just because the Celtics and Duke run it well.
Well, think about this. The average post up in college basketball is worth 0.8 points per possession. Okay.
Mhm.
And if you take 50, 60 shots in that area at 0.8, you're gonna lose. But you can have a post player who's worth 1.1 or 1.2. And if you do, give him the ball.
Exactly.
So it is 100% personnel based, and individualized. And so that's how we look at it in our program.
Yeah, because I see a lot of communities on Twitter where I'm like, man, I don't think all these scenarios apply to all these different programs, especially when you start going lower level, like high school level and other places. Like, I really think it's not a one size fits all way to win games just based off the numbers of other teams.
Well, what are you going to do? Not throw the ball at Shaq?
Exactly. I mean, think of that whole scenario.
Yeah, you're going to throw the ball at Shaq.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. It's like when you have one like that, you use it. So look, everything's based on your personnel and their player strengths.
for sure. Couple more for me, coach. First thing I saw when I looked at your page, I looked at your page, I think a year ago on Twitter. I was like, man, this coach has a nice style. I was like, it's different. Like I look like you put effort into your on court style. Like, do you still do that? And what originated that?
Do again, got to be genuine to yourself. The players got to kind of get a kick out of it. So the sport coats, the Christmas sweaters,
Uh-huh.
the shoes, it's just part of my flair.
Yeah, that's cool.
My wife doesn't always like it, but it is what it is.
That's awesome. Last one for me, coach. I like to ask people this. What's your advice for young or just new coaches? What would your advice be to them if they actually have aspirations on building up and making a career and advancing?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to be grounded and stay invested where you're at. Water the ground that you're on. I would say this to players: grass isn't always greener. The grass is greener where you water it, and so you got to take care of where you're at first. The second piece is never turn down a basketball opportunity. And for me, probably some of the most rewarding basketball experiences I had, I had to kind of like invest in myself. Working the Eastern Invitational camp when I was younger is a huge deal in my development as a coach. The TBT, I wouldn't be where I am without doing those basketball opportunities. And so you never know who you're going to meet and what you're going to learn at different opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. And you never know who you'll meet, what'll come from that. It's always the craziest stories. Like we had Concord's D2 head coach, and he said, man, my first job, I was at a store getting bread for my mom. And the guy was like, hey, you still want to coach? He was like, sure. And that just spiraled all the way to you, like what his journey is now. But coach, I appreciate you joining me, man, for Convos with Carp today, man. I look forward to watching you guys Monday. First college basketball regular season game, Division One, 8 a.m. Set your alarms, everybody. Head coach at Queens University of Charlotte, Grant Leonard, man. I appreciate your time today, man.
It's been a pleasure, Josh. Thank you so much. If you need anything in the future, please don't hesitate to ask.
I appreciate you, man.